Well, good evening, and thank you for joining me on tonight's live stream. My name's Greg Nelson. I'm a sales trainer, sales coach. I own a sales training company here in the Pacific Northwest called The Hard Knock State. I'm also a licensee for Grant Cardone, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the phone and mastering the phone and perfecting your phone selling skills. I know we've been talking about this week pretty in depth. This is a very important skill that you need to learn if you are trying to become the best sales professional that you can be. You need to know how to master the phone, not just master the phone on taking an inbound sales call, but you need to know how to master the phone on follow-up calls. You need to know how to master the phone talking with orphan customers, service customers. Yesterday we went through all the different types of phone calls that you could possibly make. Oh, today we are going to talk about the one we didn't talk about yesterday, which is the cold call, making the cold calls, cold calling. And I'm going to give you some cold calling strategies. And before the live stream's over, I'm going to fill you in on a little secret. I've got Grant Cardone's key to getting past the gatekeeper. And so I'm going to share that with you as well. If you really want to perfect your skills, watching these live streams are great, and I really thank you for doing that. But on Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I'm putting on my half day workshop. It's the Phone Mastery Workshop. This is a live virtual event, and you can go to thehardknockstate.com and get your ticket. The spots are limited, and so you'd want to get your ticket now. It's 19.95. I mean, for under $20, the information that you're going to be getting is it's just silly. It really is. It's way more information than $20 worth. In fact, it's so much information that if you uh, took notes and follow along in your 10x sales professional course workbook that you're going to get as a digital download when you attend the half day workshop, you can take this information through the rest of your career. This information is ethical, it's transparent, and it's cutting edge. Not only is it cutting edge, but it's effective. It absolutely works. It's going to work today in today's economy. It's going to work into tomorrow's economy and into the future. This information Grant Cardone has been using for over 40 years. Over 40 years that he's been in sales, he's been using this information. His complete sales staff uses this information. And when Grant's teaching Fortune 100 companies and teaching his big clients on how to get good on the phone, these are the strategies that he's going to teach them as well. And I got to tell you, when I first heard Grant was in 1998, and I was working at my first stint in the automotive selling as an automotive professional. I was giving a book of audio cassettes that were mismatched, they were worn out, and I was told to repeat what I learned and what I heard, and then repeat that to the customer. Well, needless to say, I didn't have the right material, and I didn't have the full material to be effective at that. So I tucked my tail between my legs, went back into the other industry that I came from. And it wasn't until, gosh, about 20 years ago when I got into the sales industry. Of course, getting back into selling again. You hear names that you're familiar with. Well, Grant Cardone was one of them, and so I always knew about him, but I didn't really know his material in depth like I do today. I was always an average salesperson for the first 10 years of my career. And, I remember this one day in particular. I was walking into a sales meeting while looking at my paycheck. I sat down in my chair and opened my paycheck up, and my face had just turned bright red. I slumped down into my chair, trying to hide. I was thinking about my kids and thinking about how I was going to keep the lights on. And then I heard it. Hey, Greg, I was being called on by the sales manager to tell the entire sales department how many deals I had out for the month, or more like didn't have. I was really embarrassed at that point of time. I was embarrassed. I was demotivated. And I got to tell you, my performance for the rest of that weekend was absolutely shot. It was destroyed. When I got home that night, I had opened the front door. My wife at the time had greeted me and told me that our water had been turned off. So if you're like how I was and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and 70% of us are in America, it's time to get some information. It's not that you're lazy, it's not that you don't have your heart's not in the right place. Many times, and the most common reason for us not being able to succeed, and when we feel like we've hit a wall, we feel like we've hit a rut, we just need a breakthrough or get out of that rut. What we really need is we need knowledge. We need there's things we don't know, and so how do you get good at anything? You'll by gaining more knowledge. So today we're going to talk about the cold call, again, strategies of the cold call, and then at the very end of the live stream here, I'm going to give you Grant's key to getting past the gatekeeper. So we want to prepare for the cold call. This cold call, we're getting you ready to actually pick up the phone. Doing this prep work ensures that you maximize your chances of making a sale. Number one is you got to do the math. When I first started making cold calls, it was painful because I didn't know how to measure my activity to determine whether I was on track or not. So that's what I really want to go over right now. Let's say you want to make $200,000 this year. Do you know the math to determine what you would need to be doing for the next hour to produce how much money you want to make? This is what you would do. You would take that $200,000, you would divide that by the average commission paid for the sale. So let's say that number is 500,000, just as an example. Uh, you divide that number into $200,000, and that tells me how many sales you need to make. In this case, $200,000 divided by $500 is 400 transactions. Now take your average close rate, and let's say you call 100 people and you close four of them. That's a 4% close rate. Divide that number into those 400 transactions. That's going to tell you how many calls you need to make. You've got to make 10,000 phone calls in order to get the 400 sales. So let's say you work 5 days a week for 52 weeks. 5 days a week, you don't take a vacation. You're putting in all 12 months, all 52 weeks. That's 260 days. You divide your 10,000 contacts by the number of days. So 10,000 divided by 260 days. I need to make 3.5 contacts each day. Now, if you make those contacts, then you're on track with the math. Maybe this shows you that you need to hire some people or you need to up your sales game by 10x. Maybe you need to hire some group in India to start making those phone calls for you. That's the number. Then you do the math. Number two is we need to build a list. To hit your target, you're going to need a list. You need names. The organization of your list will determine how many calls you need to get through. Uh, who are you going to call? How are you going to contact them? The speed at which you contact them and how good your call is going to be. So number one, we want to work our power base. And we touched on this yesterday. Everybody's got a power base: friends, family, neighbors, people you beat up, people who've beaten you up, people in your community, somebody at your church, at your son or daughter's school. Start there. That is your power base. The second group is called sold customers, either yours or let's say you were at another company and sold another product. You sold them already and you were successful with them. Those people I want you to call and resell. Lost customers would be number three. At the end of every month, look who hasn't purchased from you, who hasn't made a sale yet, or who hasn't made a sale in a long period of time. Start with and then hit those people up. Then you want to hit up the orphan customers of the company, people that have bought from the company in the past. But no longer having a sales representative or sales professional servicing them or assisting their needs. Number five would be social media uh, Google, buying lists, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. I could buy a list. Uh, I could go to US Data Core Sales Genie, which is now Data Axle Genie, uh, or Go Leads. So you could purchase call lists from these type of people. You could really whittle it down to what organization they're in, how many people they have working at that organization, what type of business it is, and where they're located. Number six, give free content. You can build a list by providing content. I could offer a webinar, I could provide ebooks, white paper, case studies, free reports. I could even do videos on YouTube, which I do. In fact, if you go to Greg Nelson at thehardknockstate.com, I've got over 150 videos uploaded on YouTube, not only on sales, but also on mindset, how to take an idea and make it real, personal budget and finances, and of course the shorts and the live streams. But you should always be building your list. It is your list, and how big do you want it? Right? How complete is it? And how complete it is will determine how you're able to hit your targets. So the third thing we want to do is we want to do call preparation. Okay, this will guarantee our success. Inside sales is very different from traditional sales. Cold call blitz telemarketing. Okay, the difference is inside sales is much more strategic than just calling names off of any list. Here are five ways that you can nail pre investigation of your call. Number one, check out your prospect's website. You need to know the basics. Look for a unique selling proposition. How are they different? Where are they trying to position themselves? You know, Sam Walton, back when he started Walmart back in Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, he was known to actually mystery shop his competition, but he wasn't mystery shopping his competition to see what they were doing wrong and to see where he had the upper advantage. He actually mystery shopped his competition to see what his competition was doing right and see how he can implement that into his Walmart stores. So that is huge, right? Identify problems associated with their business or their industry. Finding things out that your prospect would actually spend money on to solve their problems is different than telling them what they're doing wrong. And so let me repeat that. Finding things that your prospect would actually spend money on to solve their problem is different than you telling them what their problem is and what they're doing wrong. Uh, Seek out professional connections to facilitate a warm introduction. That would be the third thing you'd want to do in your call preparation. LinkedIn is a strong way to find mutual connections. It really is. And we have connections on Facebook, we have connections on Instagram, all the different social media sites. But when you're in business, you want to look for other people with a similar business ideas. And so LinkedIn is a phenomenal social media site. It is there because, look, there's not people talking about the weekend barbecues and going and shooting guns and going fishing and hunting and all the vacations. That's what Facebook's for, right? So LinkedIn is all about business. So you can really locate the people with the common business interests that you have, and you can find out who they are, who those people are. You can find out where they work, how long they've worked there, what their title is. It's a phenomenal business social media site. Connect with influencers. This would be number four. Connect with influencers in the company. Who knows all the politics and everything going on in the company? Don't neglect those people because they can help you get the key decision makers in front of you. And they know exactly what to say and how to sell and how to close a target. Okay, so they know all the strong points, all the things you don't want to say to the decision maker, and so just getting in contact with them, the influencers, could really help you out in the long run. Look for things that would be useful in your pursuit of a prospect. At the end of the day, that call needs to be a little bit warm. Do anything you can to give yourself a leg up. And number four, your script. Right here's what we wanted. We've talked about the cold call preparation. Now we talk about your script. Your script is the roadmap. Okay. Shooting from the hip will always deliver an inconsistent pitch, and an inconsistent pitch will always deliver inconsistent results. No matter how good you are on the phone, no matter how long you've been doing it for, you should always have a script. Right underneath your keyboard or right next to the phone, and slide it out and take a look at that and use it and follow along. Again, no matter how long you've been selling, even if you're the world's best sales professional on the phone, you want to use a script. Number one, once you get a script that works, follow your script exactly. Whenever you run off the script, you're going to find yourself thinking more about where to go next instead of listening to what the prospect's saying. And so when we're just kind of generically just kind of glancing over our script, if we're even following a script, it's the same thing with shooting from the hip. You're always thinking about what your next move is or what your next word track you're going to say is, when really we should let the script do all the thinking. And then with that, we should actively listen to our customers and just go right down the line of the script. Uh, Number five, we want to role play every single day. You may think role playing is a waste of time, but it can increase the retention of a topic by 58%. That's a staggering number. If just by role playing you can increase your retention by 58%, you need to practice, and you need to drill your phone scripts until they become second nature. And when they do become second nature, just like what I just said, once they do become second nature, you want to still keep your phone script on your desk, below your keyboard, next to your phone, and you want to use it no matter how good you are. There's so much you can get from role playing. It's crazy. I found a few things that make role playing very effective. I use a mirror to watch myself, or sometimes I'll even put myself on a Zoom call where there's nobody else on it, and I'll hit the record so I can watch myself deliver that script when I'm on the phone, and then I could watch to see how I could areas where I could build my confidence. I could look at my tone and listen to the tone of my voice. I can look at my conviction. I could record, recording yourself on Zoom is awesome. Or if you got an additional camera instead of your smartphone, you can record yourself that way. Really get into this thing. So you're really making a commitment to be a true professional. Sometimes you'll see something on video or hear something in a recording that you didn't pick up on while you're on the call. Here's find a family member who will role play with you if you don't have anybody at work to role play with you. I used to use, when I was first started out in selling, and I was going through our store's process that we had at the time. My son was 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. He was able to talk, but he would be the customer, and I would role play with him before I went into work. Do that. Find a family member who can, or a coworker. If a family member isn't available, or if a worker's not available, revert back to the family member. But somebody you could actually you can call each other up and role play. It's going to make it more fun. Remember, uh, follow up and making phone calls, you need to make a game out of it, right? It will be a great source of feedback for you as well. And so it's going to create a more positive, confident tone for you. The bottom line is there's no profession on this planet that would go onto a court or go walk onto a field or a stage without warming up or practicing, and not training, drilling, and rehearsing. There's no professional out there that gets to that level without putting in their share and more than the average share of practice. So If you think it's any different in sales, that's ridiculous. Refusing to role play is an expensive mistake. You need to do this every day. Don't practice on live customers. Practice on each other there at work before you pick up the phone. Role playing will increase your ability to convert, and it's going to make you better at your job. Period. End of story. It is just simply going to make you a better professional. Number six, prepare for objections. Objections are going to happen. Objections are indications that you are moving deeper into the sales process. If you're with a customer, whether it's on the phone or in person, and they don't object to anything throughout your sales process, that should right there send an alarm off in your mind. There's something wrong. They're just get me done's. There's something they're not telling you. It's probably a credit situation, or it could be that they have the lack of wherewithal to be able to buy the product, but they're hoping they could. You're just for some reason they just think that you're not going to find out what's going on with their credit situation, so they keep everything a mystery and they keep it quiet. They object to nothing, just in hopes to get through the sales process as quickly as possible and to make you believe as a sales professional that you're the best sales professional out there. Um, so you want to look for objections. In the real world, anybody who buys anything is going to object or complain about something or have questions about something. Now, think of yourself when you go out to buy. What do you do? How do you do it? Right? You'll have customers object to you on the phone, and then they'll come in and they'll see you the next day. Then when you see them, they'll end up buying from you, all because you were able to handle their objections professionally. We're going to get into a lot more detail a little bit later on February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That is my uh, live event. My live virtual event is my phone sales mastery half day workshop. And we're going to do the deep dive into this. And you're going to get so much information out of this phone mastery workshop. You're going to be wondering where I was all throughout your sales career, quite honestly. Let me just say now that it all starts with writing down the objections you hear and make them real. Take them out of your head and put them on a piece of paper, and not just the objections you hear, but the objections you use when you're going off to buy your goods and services, and then deal with them. Figure out a way around those objections. If you really want to get really good at this, on overcoming objections, I highly suggest you get Grant Cardone's book, The Closer's Survival Guide. You can get it you can get it in the actual text form, or you can get it in the audio book. It is phenomenal, and it will really move you up. It will level up your game tremendously. Number seven, hey, we want to take notes, right? If you ask the right questions and then demand answers and are really control the call with a script that you've role played, you'll get every piece of data you need to know about how to sell somebody and how to close them. But you've got to write it down. You just do. People will throw objections at you. They'll throw all the reasons why they're not going to buy today, or they're not coming in, and why you should get off the phone with talking to them. But what do? A lot of times we don't take notes. We get off the phone, and then we just start dialing the next number, and then we forget about the person we just talked to and those objections. And so those objections are going to come up again and again and again, in all different forms, in all different ways that different customers are saying them. Um, but if you don't write them down and you don't take time to acknowledge them, it's going to be a long journey for you in the selling career, because you're not going to know how to overcome these objections, and you're going to hear them time and time and time again, week after week, month after month, and year after year. It just takes me back. I was in a dealership a while back ago, and I remember, you know, uh, I had known a sales associate for some period of time, and I'd say probably a good better part of 15 years now. And I was watching it, kind of standing back, and I was watching him in the close, and he had a customer out in front of him and a proposal, and it was the gosh, I just need to go think about it, and his face turns bright red. He still doesn't know how to overcome that objection efficiently, and I remember him back 15 years ago, still stumbling with those same objections. Now, I mean, I'm not saying he's a good salesman, he's a good sales professional, but he just has never taken the time to really study the craft any further. So always take notes, always write these objections down, write them down as much as possible, specifically what they say. And when people start rifting, when the customer starts really talking, that's where you're going to want to start thinking about things to write down when they're on the phone. Even things that may be a little bit off point, their daughter's name, the dog's name, the fact that they're moving, or they're getting new furniture, or remodeling their bathroom or their kitchen. Write all this stuff down. Transfer all that data onto a note from your notepad into the CRM when you're done with the call. Thanks to technology today, we have no excuse for not having digital notes. And so every CRM out there has got a little area for notes. Okay. So notes of the call, and then also really good CRMs will not only have notes of the call, but also notes of the prospect. And so you could put your notes in two different areas. I always like putting my notes in one area, usually on the call. And then I just kind of would copy and paste that over and over and over again every time I'm reaching out to that same customer. With additional notes about that call. It just so it keeps their information at the forefront of my mind. Um, so keep your notes accessible, right? This data is not just for you. It should be shared with somebody else, like your manager. And if you got a BDC manager who makes phone calls for you, or your sales manager may pick up the phone and make phone calls for you, that is good information for their manager. That way they can say, hey, Greg kind of filled me in on what you're going through. Says you're remodeling your kitchen, and that you're getting some new furniture in, and that you may need to hold off a little bit, but let me tell you why it's more important to move forward now than it is to hold off. And so knowledge is power. You need it, and you need to access it. So take notes. And then here's what I want to say. February 11th, it's a Saturday. It's at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So even if you're on the East Coast, you'll still have plenty of. I know these live streams are hard for the people on the East Coast to tune in, because, gosh, it's 7:30 here. It's 10:30, on the Eastern Atlantic seaboard there. So, but on Saturday, and you could always catch the replays of these live streams to get some good information to implement tomorrow when you're at work. But Saturday, man, half day workshop, right? 10 a.m., plenty of time for everybody to be there, to where they can take notes, they can follow along in their downloadable digital 10x sales professional workbook, and then they can take that home and study it whenever you need to and refer back to it. But the information we're going over, I got to tell you right now, if you're taking good notes right now, it's going to help you out tomorrow, and it will allow and enable you to just start selling more tomorrow. That is the reality of it. And it is very loved. It's not going to be social media site. There is a comment. It is 19.95, $19.95. So not even $20 for you to get this cold call, this phone material and phone mastery. You're gonna leave Saturday at the end of the live event, the phone mastery workshop. You're going to leave the workshop and your mind is going to be blown. There's going to be so much information in your head. You're going to have information about making phone calls coming out your ears. And it's going to be really hard. Even if you took zero notes, it's going to be really hard for you to go into work the following Monday, pick up the phone, and not start implementing what you learned. Because the way we teach And the way we're going to have you do this, it's a workshop, right? So there's exercises you're going to go through during this workshop. So you're going to be having to follow along throughout the whole workshop. Yeah, there's going to be plenty of breaks throughout it, and it is going to be a fun, great time. But the reality is the information is going to make you a more knowledgeable sales professional, and that's going to allow you to sell more, sell consistently, and earn more on each sale. So I kind of want to talk to you about the purpose of the cold call a little bit. Okay. Um, the primary purpose of the cold call is to close the deal. It's to make a sale. Okay. Period. Beyond that, there are several secondary purposes. Okay. So we need to identify who the decision maker is when we're making these cold calls. Who's the person who signs the check or influences the decision? And who are the key players and other influencers? Okay. We need to determine wants and needs, right? We're going to go into fact finding again. It's the discovery, it never ends, right? And good salespeople always find creative ways to ask hard questions, right? We want to talk to people as we're not as an interrogation, right? We're not, even though we want to get the information like we're a murder detective investigating a murder crime scene. But the reality is people don't like being talked to that way. So if you're just asking questions like you're trying to write a detailed textbook, man, make it conversational, right? Put a smile on your face, throw some humor into it, right? And flattery, if well placed, can win hearts forever, and it will win hearts forever. So just remember, you are speaking to a human being on the other side of the phone, okay? But determine their wants and needs. What do they want, and what do they need? Why do they want it? Why do they need it? Okay. What have they done in the past, and why did that not work for them? Okay. We also need to create interest and urgency. We do this by setting hooks and using magic questions and buzzwords, right? How do I get an appointment? How do I get an appointment that shows, right? So we do this by setting hooks, creating interest, and creating urgency. Uh, we need to get referrals. If you can't sell, or even if you can, you need to, the person you're talking to, get a referral, regardless of whether you're going to sell them, or whether you're not going to be able to sell them, because they may know somebody who's in the market for exactly what you're selling. So getting additional names and numbers to add to your list is a secondary purpose of the cold call. Cold calling is an activity that's got multiple layers. It's like an onion, right? It's like a parfait. You need to know cold calling well enough to keep the primary purpose front and center. But simultaneously, you need to move through the secondary purposes. Uh, Number two is the greeting. Okay. The truth is, most customers, most prospects, particularly on a cold call, have made a decision not to talk to you before you even called. Okay. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with your voice or how you said it. Or what you said. They've just made the decision they're not going to talk to people on the phone. They're not going to talk to solicitors on the phone. Uh, and even if they themselves are solicitors of a product or service, and you're making a B2B call, a business to business call, those same people who are in return calling other prospects have made the decision not to talk to people calling and trying to sell them over the phone. Uh, So 80%, 86% of these people, they just don't want to talk to you. And so that's the fact, right? So we want to be focused on the 14%. We want to forget about the 86% and only focus on the 14% of the people who do want to talk to us. If you knew the person on the phone was one of the 14%, how would you act? Would you be energetic, or would you be lethargic? Okay. Would you be confident, or would you be nervous? Would you sound like you're making a sales call, or like you're living for something you love, for your true passion, right? And if you make the difference, you as the person making the phone call, as the sales professional, you make the difference. Even if they hang up on you, you're going to be the one that makes the difference by not giving up and just dialing and making another phone call. Here are three things you need to know to nail those first few seconds of a call. Because remember, just like if you are greeting a customer in your store, your showroom, or your office, not on the phone, but just a walk-in customer or an appointment, that potential customer is going to form. Harvard Business says that they will form an opinion of you in the first, I think it's 5 seconds. It could be 4 seconds, but it's that quick. And when you're on the phone, you got even a shorter amount of time. So, three things you need to do to know that you're going to nail those first few seconds of the call. Number one, record a 20-second commercial. Who are you and why are you calling? What are you going to do for the customer? And what is what is it about your product that's important? And what do you want the customer about it? So practice that 20-second commercial, right? It's like an elevator pitch, right? It's real quick, man. Just bam, this is who I am. This is why, this is the reason for the call. Hey, this is what we deliver. And now's the time for you to book an appointment. Okay. Until it's ingrained into every fiber of your body. For example, my company increases the sales of your company by 15 to 20%. Are you the decision maker, or would there be somebody else I need to talk to? Okay, you may want to rephrase it a little bit different. It could be that blunt, right? Number two is we want to deliver the greeting with enthusiasm. You need to be spectacular. You need to be on purpose. Show them you're on a mission and that you love your product or service, your company and your service. You need to be positive when they're not. Okay. And number three, no, you can't fail. Okay. Even if a prospect cusses you out or hangs up on you and says never call back again, it's impossible. It's impossible for you to fail. Remember, nobody's going to reach through the phone and punch you in the mouth, right? They're just not, and nobody's going to do that in person either for you trying to sell your product or service. Especially if you got passion and you believe in it, and you know it's going to solve your customer's problem. You know it's going to solve the problem for the person on the other side of the phone. Man, that kind of conviction is just going to come through the tone of your voice, right? And even if they hang up on you, I guarantee you they're going to feel bad for hanging up on you. So just understand it's impossible for you to fail. You can still win because you can cross a prospect off your list. You don't got to worry about that creep anymore. The boy, what a big jerk. And just think about this. They're not just a jerk to you. They're a jerk like that to everybody else who they come in contact with. And you get to just cross them off their list if they treat you poorly. Okay. Or if you want, you could always try to call them back again the next day, because maybe their tone has changed a little bit. Remember, it could just be that they just had a really bad day. They woke up on the wrong side of the bed, stubbed their toe, as they were walking to the bathroom in the morning, ran out of coffee, burnt their toast, spilled orange juice on their shirt. You know how it is, fought with traffic. It could just be that you called them at the wrong period of time and they just had a really bad day. So it wouldn't never hurt to try to give them a call back. Number three is the big claim. You've heard the saying about the under promising and over delivering. Okay. Here, you want to overpromise and you want to force that overpromise because you're going to be able to overdeliver. Okay, so we don't want to the underpromise overdeliver. I so many times I hear this thing, and I know even Grant talks about this. Okay, how dumb is this, right? Hey, are you going to go? Would you go to a movie where and Grant has this analogy he refers to? He's like, would you go to a movie if the TV commercial or the radio commercial that was promoting that movie said it's going to be an average movie with an average screenplay, with average actors, right? On shot on average cameras with an average sound system, only for you to go to see an average movie and have them blow your mind, that it's just a regular movie? Of course not. It's stupid. It's dumb, right? So we want to overpromise and we want to overdeliver. Okay, that's what But, with, your big claim, that's what you wanna set is a big claim for your product or service, okay? For instance, with sales training, we could say, "Hey, we're going to, get you a 50% increase in sales in the first 15 days at no cost to you," okay? You need to get their attention. If you don't tell your prospect what you can do for them, you're actually underselling and being disloyal to your company, your product, and yourself. Um, Here are keys to the big claim. Be honest. Take a good, honest look at all the great stuff you do, the incredible successes, and the other customers you've had. Number two, don't bother talking about average results, competitive or comparative or similar. Who are you to determine if your client is going to get an average or good result? Your job is just to put it out there. Okay. Always assume your client will perform. Okay. Number three, be confident that you can deliver on what it is you're going to say. Conviction is the key to delivery. The fact that you believe it could actually cause the customer to actually make it happen. Make your big claim and set your big giant hooks, right? Big giant hooks, right? And look at your product and your service and come up with three or four or five points that would cause somebody to think, I need to pay attention to this guy or gal on the phone. Number four, is quality fact finding. Once you have somebody on the phone and they haven't hung up yet, you've made your greeting, and now it's time to immediately jump into the qualifying to see if they even have a problem that you can solve or a problem that you can fix. Remember, the only reason why people buy anything, and it doesn't matter whether it's a business buying for their business or whether it's a consumer buying for goods or services from a business, everybody's got a problem to solve. And so nobody buys anything if they don't have a problem to solve. You know, I guess well, heck, even in the grocery store line at the, checkout, they have all the impulse buys there, but the only time you'd buy it is to solve a problem, right? You pick up the gum, it's because the problem you want to solve is bad breath, right? And so even if you're buying a convertible for the enjoyment, and you may have four or five other cars at your house, in your garage, in your driveway, but you just want a convertible. Why would you want that convertible? Because the problem you're trying to solve is boredom, right? Or a lackluster life. The goal here is to get the customer talking to you. Your questions must allow you to gather data that you can use to build a profile on this customer and to understand why or if they are going to buy from you or how you're going to be able to get in front of this person. You can literally come right out and just ask them, hey, if I could solve one problem for you, what would it be? What's the biggest single challenge that you're facing right now? What's the biggest challenge your staff is up against right now in today's world, in today's economy? What problem do you have right now with your current product or inventory or your machinery or your capacity or whatever it is? What's the problem? Is there if you could change on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel about your current situation? Oh, a 5. Okay. Well, how do we get that to a 10? Would you be interested in learning about another product if we can get that much closer to a 10? Oh, you could say it like that, right? If there was one thing about, yeah, the current machinery that you're using at your factory, if there's one thing that's letting you down about that machinery, what would it be? And just shut up and let them talk, right? You're just carrying on a conversation. You'd be surprised on how often the buyer will just come right out and tell you what the problem is. They don't even know your name, but they're ready to spill the beans and spill their guts. All you got to do is just ask. So whenever a client reveals a problem that they're having, you must quantify it. They say turnover is killing them. You say, how much do you think that's costing you every year, every quarter, every month, or every week? You get them to put a dollar amount to that pain, right? What's the ultimate cost of that? Quantify that problem. Build your list of quality fact finding questions. And remember this. It's the person asking the questions and getting answers who controls the conversation in sales. I used to just think it was a person asking questions is in control of the conversation, and that is not true. It is not only the person who's asking questions, it's also The person who gets answers to the questions controls the conversation. Number five is we got to close. We got to close it up, button it up, right? When you close, you're not going to close on the money. You're going to close on a future presentation and solidify an appointment time. Okay, it could just be maybe you're just your product or service that you're selling is completely online, and you're cold calling people. Well, still, you gotta set up, if they know nothing about it, they haven't done any research, and it's just truly a true cold call, not a warm call, right? Not a hot call. If it's truly a true cold call, they're going to want to see how that product or service works in action, or they're going to want some more information. So you need to close them on an appointment to see a demonstration, to make sure you could present your product or service. Okay. Um, when the prospect gives you an option for a presentation at a future time, sure. Hey, call me next Tuesday. That is not an appointment. All right. That is a generic statement, and chances are they're probably not going to be there next Tuesday. Let me think about it is not a close. Let me talk to my guys is not a close. When closing on an appointment, push for today, push for as soon as possible, push for later today. Or if you can't get that, okay, great. How about tomorrow? How about the next day? How about the third day? Once he says, yes, I can do that, or I need to check with them, I'll hold. Tell them you're going to hold. Great. Go check with them. I'll hold. Okay. Don't let them off the hook, right? Um, be confident, because you know your product is going to solve their problems, right? Be confident that you have a product that is going to solve their problems. Then, when you're pushing for a solid time, you say, the reason I'm pushing for a specific time is because I know I can solve your problem. Tell them that. Hey, I'm confident this is going to solve your problem. I'm confident it's going to not only solve your needs, but it's going to fit into your budget, right? The reason why, uh, in fact, I'm texting you something right now that will validate. So text him with some third party data, right? While you're telling him this, right? In fact, I'm texting you right now something that will validate from three other sources, because once you really believe me, you'll need to see this. You'll need to do this sooner or later. Now, once they agree to a specific time, like tomorrow at 11 a.m. or Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, when you jump on the and join the live virtual event of my phone mastery class workshop, would there be any reason you couldn't do it tomorrow at 11 a.m.? Tie them down, lock them down. This is the appointment lock. Okay. Hey, so look, John, when you say you want to do this tomorrow, work at 11 works great for me too. Hey, let me ask, would there be any reason uh, that you won't be able to make it at 11 a.m. tomorrow, like like you just agreed to? Any other reason that you won't be able to make it at 11? So then that's where you just want to lock them down and close that appointment for a future presentation, and the prospect will respect you. And when you call back tomorrow, they really will. They'll be happy to hear from you. Number six, and then the next call is not a cold call. It's not, I mean, they're expecting you, right? It's an appointment to call and to have a conversation and to demonstrate your product. How to get started building your own script in in this section here, this part of the live stream. I'm going to kind of tell you how to build your own script, but first of all, I want to give you the steps to a cold call. Number one is the greet. Okay, it's very quick. Remember, just in a few seconds, right? We want to work these down to 20-second commercials, right? What we're saying, okay? But there's specific things you want to do and not do. Okay, number two, your reason for the call. Hey, I'm going to put more emphasis on this, the reason for the call, the reason why I'm calling, and then it's got to be a monster claim. It's got to be a claim so big, and don't get shy. Okay, by you making big claims, it may mean that you need to up your game and 10x your potential, the way that you're thinking about taking in care and servicing your customer. You may need to 10x that from what you're currently been doing. Step number four is then we need excuse me, number three is we need to immediately move into the qualifying, which includes fact finding, questions to search for the decision makers, questions and to search for the decision makers. And step number four is we lock that appointment down. It's very simple. In your greeting, okay, speak clearly and have confidence. Hey, this is Greg with Grant Cardone Enterprises. One name, two names, or hey, this is Greg. I'm a Grant Cardone licensee. I'm I'm a Google or an Apple or a Netflix or a big if I'm one of those big companies, a giant company like that, if I have that kind of name recognition, I'm include that name. However, if you don't, and you're not a household name, there's no reason to add the name of the company. Hey, you could just say, "Hey, this is John," or "Hey, this is Greg," or "Hey, this is Barbara," right? Just use your first name only. Do not use your this. You don't need to use your first and last name, just your first name only. Immediately following your name is the reason for the call. It's not "How are you doing?" That's not why you called. You don't need to call to see how they're doing, okay, or to talk about the weather. Okay, boy, it's really raining hard outside today, isn't it? Boy, it's a hot one today. Yeah, nobody cares, right? The reason you're calling must come with a big claim, period. A monster claim. Remember, set those monster hooks, right? The reason I'm calling you today is because we recently started doing business with a competitor of yours, and we're able to increase their sales by 40% in 90 days. I want to connect with you to show you exactly what we did for them and how we could do the same for you. I want you to put those monster hooks in there, and I want you to create an interest. I want you to create urgency. I want you to have a big claim, 40% in 90 days, right? Now start qualifying to ensure that our company can actually help you out. Let me ask you a question. In this case, because we're a training company, how many salespeople do you have? Okay. What are you currently doing for training? Ask questions that allow the person to start communicating with you. Okay. Not close. Remember, we talked about this in a couple live streams earlier. Open-ended questions, not closed-ended questions, right? Ask questions that allow the person to talk with you, to carry on just a normal conversation like two regular human beings. If I could solve one problem for you, or if I can solve one problem that your team's having, your sales team's having, what would it be? Sorry here, I'm experiencing a little technical difficulties. I'm trying to figure out why my camera just went out. Not my got two cameras going on right now, but get this all working here. So I think we're back up and running. It looks like we got audio, we got visual. So now you want to start qualifying. Okay, we're talking about the qualifying, right? And how many salespeople do you have? What are you currently doing for training? Ask questions that will allow them to communicate back with you, and let ask them, if I could solve one problem for you and your team, what would that be, right? How much do you think that big problem is costing you every week or every month, or how much is that costing you a year, right? Quantify it. Have them put it into a dollar amount, that pain. And then these questions can be magic questions. All right. So the qualifying questions, magic questions, those are questions that are going to keep the person on the other line, your prospective buyer, your prospective client. They're going to have them really think about the situation. And in many cases, it may be a dark area for them. It really might be. It may be a painful area for them too, and they may always try to not think about that. They're probably squashing that down as far as they can. They're trying to shove it in a corner. They're trying to put it in a box. They don't want to bring it up. They don't want to put light on the pain, and they probably haven't ever thought about how much it's really costing them. Okay. Shed some light on it, right? Because how are you going to help their problem if they don't realize how much that's costing them? Notice what we've done here. We've made a cold call. We've gotten a person on the phone, and now we're talking to them. We've set some big hooks, and we've asked some really good questions. We've qualified them, and now we're going to ask this. Look, if I could solve just half of that problem for you, uh, then would you make time to see me? Or you could say something like, look, if I could solve half, if I could solve half, if I could do just half of what I did for your competitor down the street, if I could increase your sales by 40%, uh, not by 40%, but by 20%, would you make time to see me and let me show this program to you? Why would I say that? Because people don't trust people. I'm going to back off my big claim. I'm going to cut it in half and see if there's still an interest. When this happens, the next goal is to identify the influencers and who the decision makers are. Is this sounding like a long call? It's not. It's tight. It's 20 seconds, right? Real quick. Uh, we're just going in depth about it. We're dissecting this here. So, uh, you ask, uh, he says, "Yeah, I'd be interested in this." Great. Other than yourself, who else will need to be involved in this decision? Or who else will need to be involved in the influencing or making a decision on a project like this? Oh, well, Bob would need to be involved. Great. Then ask them for the appointment. When would you be available? Could I do this right now or later this afternoon? Could we do this before lunch? Go for today. Remember, create urgency. If I can't get an appointment today, then it's going to be, well, how about tomorrow? How about tomorrow afternoon? Once you get a time, block it down. Once somebody says to me, hey, I'll do Wednesday morning at 10 o'clock, then I'm going to ask, hey, is there any other reason? Is there any reason why you wouldn't be able to meet with me or you won't be available tomorrow at 10 a.m.? That's called a lock close. When you get an appointment, don't cross your fingers that they're going to show up. Lock it in. Essentially, what you're doing is you're having the person on the other side of the phone lock in their own appointment. You're really having them confirm their own appointment. It's very simple, but you have to be intentional about this. So I want to go back and promise, I got to, let's talk about February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. That is, uh, that is my phone sales mastery workshop. It's a half day workshop. It's a live event. We're gonna go crazy in depth in this material. You're gonna leave Saturday, probably early afternoon. You're gonna leave Saturday early afternoon, and you're gonna have boom, mind blown, right? You're going to have so much information. You're probably going to be looking at your spouse cross-eyed. Okay. The dog is going to wonder what's up with you because you've just downloaded so much information into your brain. And then Monday, when you go back to work and you need to pick up the phone, you're not going to hesitate. This stuff, bam, bam, bam. And you're going to have a workbook you could refer back to because you do get this phone mastery class. This is a Grant Cardone's. It's a 10x sales professional course, and you're going to get a workbook to go along with it so you could study at home. And we're gonna, like I said, we're just going to go crazy in depth with this. So be prepared. However, it's 1995, so it's less than $20. The workbook alone is worth more than 20 bucks. The information you're going to get here could be worth thousands, if not $1 million for you moving forward and making phone calls and closing people over the phone. I would even, it could be millions of dollars, depending on your age, but there is limited spots available for this workshop. One thing I don't try to do is I never try to pack a coaching session just with more people than I can handle. I want to make sure everybody's got time to get their questions answered. Everybody's got time to work things out, really get a good quality of understanding of the material. So I'm not going to jam pack this workshop. There's not going to be 500 people in it. There's not going to be 1,000 people in it. And I'm going to leave 15 minutes for Q&A where there's only 3 people able to, raise their hand and ask a question. Okay. Smaller groups. It's just going to be, you're going to be able to understand the material so much more, so much better that way. And so get your ticket now. Go to thehardknockstate.com and scroll down past my appointment section on my first page of my website. Scroll down past my appointment section. Right underneath the appointments is my virtual webinar section. Just click on Phone Mastery. Go ahead and sign up. We take all major credit cards. You will be you'll get an email with the Zoom link for the workshop. And again, that is Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Phone Mastery Workshop. Okay. So here right now we're going to talk about the key. This is Grant's little secret here. The key to getting past the gatekeeper. Um, So let's talk about this for a second here, okay? The gatekeeper is the decision maker's guard. Okay, they stand in between the executive and the world to protect them from the executive wasting time. Okay, hearing pitches from multiple different charity cases. The goal is to let the important people do the important things. Get these gatekeepers on your side. Okay. So, what is the gatekeeper exactly? The gatekeeper's job is not to prevent you from speaking to the decision maker. The gatekeeper's job is trying to make sure you're not a waste of time. Okay. Their job is to stop. Their job is to stop the executive from wasting time. Okay. The executives need to be on a very tight schedule. And their secretaries, the executive secretaries, they keep those executives on a very tight schedule. So they're only going to allow important information through to the executive that's not on their today's schedule or their to-do list. Okay. That's their job. Stop hating on them. Okay. They're just doing what they need to do the to make sure that it's beneficial to their company. Rule number one about the gatekeeper, quite simply, they're not keeping you away from your goals and dreams. They are trying to prevent people, again, from wasting the executive's time. Okay. The time of the God, the king, the decision maker, right? Number two, the harder it is to get to the decision maker, the easier it is to close. Okay. The people, and no matter whether you're selling in person or on the phone, usually the people with the most amount of questions and the most amount of objections, the harder people to get to nail down, to set these appointments, these are the easier people to close. Okay. In most cases, the gatekeepers in an office are protecting the decision maker from themselves. Okay. So not just wasting time, but also protecting them from themselves. They are trying to keep you away. Okay. More than they're just trying to keep you away. Everybody wants to know, how do I get past the gatekeeper? Quit trying to get past them and start trying to use them as influence on how you can get your product or service in front of them, in front of the decision maker, in front of the executive, okay, the check writer. So we need to act the part. Number two, act like a pro. Be considerate of the gatekeeper's position and the purpose that they live for. That person is committed to protecting the decision maker. Okay, that is the person committed to protecting the decision maker. You have a very small window of opportunity when speaking to the gatekeeper. Okay. As a result, your first impression must be a great one. Remember, everybody forms an opinion of somebody else within the first 4 to 5 seconds, maybe even 3 seconds, right? So the gatekeeper is no different. Okay. They're going to form an opinion of you. So, Prove that you're not there to waste their time. Be credible, be professional, and look and act the part. Most importantly, when you get in front of the gatekeeper, you got to give them the confidence and the security that you are not going to waste time. You're not going to waste their time. You're not going to waste the executive's time, the decision maker's time, the president's time. Okay, the CEO's time, the general manager's time. You have to do some homework, knowledge, data, PR, public relations. It's about having data. Know what's important to the decision maker and acknowledge the gatekeeper that you understand how important their job is. When you hit the gatekeeper, sound like you're the vice president or president or owner of a company equal in size. Okay, if I'm going to call T-Mobile and I'm going to I'm going to call and I'm going to act like I'm the president of a company equal in size to T-Mobile, maybe like Verizon, right? You'll either get through, or you're gonna, or you're going to have to be professional in getting a yes from the gatekeeper. So you're calling, and you're trying to get in touch with an executive at T-Mobile, right? And their executive secretary, the gatekeeper, right? You need to talk to the gatekeeper as as of an executive talks, just like an executive talks. So, hey, look, you're calling from a company. It doesn't matter whether you're a one person organization or whether you have thousands of people in your organization. When you're calling another company, a large size company, you need to act the part. Act as if you're as big as the company you're calling. Kill the small talk until it's needed. Okay, small talk, talking interest in taking interest in someone, being genuine and paying attention to that person, making that person feel important is valuable. Find something genuine that you can sink your teeth in and really be interested in. People can tell when you're legit and when it's being faked. Okay, they just can. Okay, you ever talk to somebody and they're telling a tall tale? You know right away it's BS, right? And you know right away when that person's legitimately telling you the truth, right? Uh, here's the power. I shouldn't even go into this right now, but assure the gatekeeper, the person in front of you, uh, most importantly, that you're not going to waste his or her time, or the decision maker's time. Assure this person in a meeting that he or she will want to have the information. Make sure that the gatekeeper knows that you know that they're important. And so you want the gatekeeper to know that you know how important their job is, okay? And that they're an influencer to the executive, okay? You want them to understand that you know that about them, okay? And you're trying to get these people on your side, right? You're trying to communicate with them, and so you need to acknowledge these people as they're as important as the decision maker themselves, okay? So with that, again, September 11th. So that's the key right there. I will go more in depth to this and the key, getting past the keeper on September 11th, or excuse me, not September 11th, Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Go to thehardknockstate.com and go ahead and sign up for the Phone Mastery Boot Camp. It's a half-day workshop, and it's in the virtual webinar section of thehardknockstate.com, right below the appointment section. Sign up. It's $19.95. It's a small price to pay. You probably got more than 20 bucks in between your couch cushions. Okay, so look, $19.95. You're going to get 4 or 5 hours of information here. Okay. And this half day workshop is going to give you so much information that you don't know about making phone calls. You're going to become a master on the phone after you get done here. You're going to learn how to follow up a call after your customer sees a proposal and after they told you no and given you all the reasons why. You're going to have the confidence to pick up the phone the very next day and make the phone call. Okay. You're going to have the confidence to make the phone call and power through these cold calls, just like the information and the strategies I gave you tonight. And then we're going to go, you got the key to the gatekeeper right now. You could probably figure it out come Monday, or tomorrow, just by if you just took good notes of this live stream, right? But we're going to give you a little bit more information about the key to the gatekeeper, getting past the gatekeeper on Saturday, February 11th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So it's the hard knock state, and go there, get your ticket now. Again, spots are going to be limited for the half day workshop. And I really want to say thank you very much for checking out the live stream and listening to me ramble and giving you all these little golden nuggets from GC himself. And this is all information from Grant Cardone and what he's used and perfected over 40 years. So